This video is based on the technical analysis of US30, which we also refer to as Dow Jones, and we're gonna analyze this particular index from the monthly chart and all the way to about the H4 chart. And before we get into the actual analysis, I just actually wanted to remind you guys that we actually have some very interesting economic news coming up later on today. Number one, we have PPMI. Number two, we have the Fed interest rate decision. Number three, we have the FOMC economic projections. And number four, we have the Fed press conference. So as you guys can see, it is going to be quite an eventful day. And we are going to see some volatility in as far as US30 is concerned. And yeah, guys, without wasting any further time, let's get straight into the actual analysis. And as you guys can see at this point, as I said, we are on the monthly chart and we'll work our way down to the H4 chart. And on the monthly chart, we have some very interesting price action movement where we see price actually heading to this high over here. And what this tells me is that chances are when price reaches that high, at that high, we're probably gonna see the market move further down to around where we have that very strong level of support. And why do I say so? That is because, guys, remember that whenever it comes to W structures or double bottoms like we have here, right? Ideally, we want to see price actually, closing sufficiently above the neckline, as I always say, and then come back to that zone to give it a test. And at that point is normally where we look for those potential buy opportunities, especially if that zone aligns with any key numbers that we have in regards to the Fibonacci retracement tool. Another reason why I say that we may potentially see the market actually move further down is that if you were to look at the price action, you would see that the market had given us what seems to be this formation over here, which is a potential double top. And at that point, we may see the market actually move further down to this line or this area, which is the neckline of that double top. And we may potentially see the market close below that neckline, head back to the neckline, and then push further down to around that level to complete that structure and to close in line with where it would have started. So what I'm doing at this point in time is just speculating, guys, and just showing you some of the possible outcomes that we may encounter in as far as US30 is concerned. But at this point in time, just to zoom in fact, let's go back, or rather go down to the weekly chart, right? And here we are on the weekly chart, right? And on the weekly chart, we can see that actually price is still on its way to that level over there, right? It hasn't quite reached it. And once it reaches that level, as I said, we may potentially look for sell opportunities. And if we do indeed find any good ones at this point, I believe that our take profit should at least be at this level based on the weekly chart. And that is because, as I said, this level is a very strong level of support, and it is also the neckline of this huge double top, as you guys can see. And what else do we see, guys, in regards to the weekly chart? At this point, really, I don't see much. But as I said, remember, guys, that on the monthly chart, I spoke about how we may potentially see the market actually give us the structure over here where price moves all the way to that neckline, and at that point again moves that down to complete that double top, right? But as I said, the most important thing at this point in time, or the most important level, or rather the most important levels, are these two levels over here, this one, which is the support level, and that level, which is the resistance level, right? And at that point is where I believe at this point in time we may potentially look for sell opportunities. And if we do indeed, as I said, find any, our take profit based on this weekly chart should be around that level over here, right? Anyway, what else do we see, guys? At this point I don't see much, so I'm just going to head down to the daily chart and let's have a look in terms of what's happening on the daily chart. And again, just to recap, remember, guys, on the bigger time frames, we spoke about how the market had given us this huge double bottom, and it has this level over here as its neckline, and the neckline is also a very strong level of support, right? And just to zoom um just to zoom in again, or zoom out rather, remember also on the monthly chart we spoke about how we expect price to actually potentially give us a double top. Remember that, guys. Anyway, here we are on the daily chart, and let's just zoom in and see what exactly is happening here. And on the daily chart again, we can see that price is still on its way to where we have that very strong level of resistance. And as I said, at that point is where we may potentially look for those sell opportunities, right? Anyway, at this point, I'm just gonna add my daily channel, and just bear with me while I do so. Let's have a look. Daily channel. How would I add my daily channel? And as far as this particular chart is concerned, just bear with me, guys. Let's have a look. There we go, more or less. There goes our daily channel. And just remember, guys, especially to you guys that are still new within the markets, remember to ensure that whatever drawings that you do indeed add to the charts, they have to be as close to perfection as possible, just to ensure that ultimately when you do execute, your execution is also very much in line and as perfect as possible, right? And there we go, guys. We could say more or less that this is our channel, right? And we can see that in as far as the daily chart is concerned, we are in an upward trending market, which means that at this point in time we should only be looking for potential buy opportunities up until at least price or the market reaches that level, which is a very strong level of, as I said, resistance. And at that point is where I would look for further sell opportunities, right? So another thing that I also want to bring to attention is that, let me just zoom out. As much as we have, guys, as much as we have this huge double bottom, right? If I can just zoom in, right? I also want to show you guys that we have, just bear with me, another smaller W pattern, and it is over here. I hope you guys can see that. And as much as I'm saying that should price reach that level and we do indeed find any good sell opportunities, and that our take profit should be around this level over here, which is the neckline of that huge W structure. Just bear in mind that, as I said, we also have another W structure over here, a double bottom, and it also has a neckline at that point, right? So what am I saying? What I'm saying, in other words, is that price may head to the resistance level and only come back to the neckline of that W structure. And at that point is where we may potentially then see the market continue to move further up. So you just need to be careful, right? And I know that some of you are looking at this area over here and are asking yourselves if it really is a W structure. And it is, guys. Remember, in textbooks, we see them as perfect W structures, but on the actual charts, they're not perfect, right? So you just need to remember that, right? And in fact, I think it'll be better visible on the H4 chart. And in fact, let's head down to the H4 chart and see what else is happening down there. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. And let's just zoom in. Remember, guys, I spoke about, let me just zoom in actually. Remember, I spoke about how we have on the daily chart a W structure over here. And can you guys see that it is better visible and it has a neckline more or less at that point? In fact, let me just actually add a neckline to that level. Just bear with me. Let's have a look, more or less. So we could say, as I said, guys, that this area over here is the neckline of our W structure. It's not perfect, but it is indeed a W structure or a double bottom, right? And as I said, it has a neckline at that point. And at this point over here, we saw price actually closing above that neckline, coming back to the neckline to test it, and we saw the market continue to move further up. But at this point in time, and as far as buy opportunities go, I don't see any. In my very, very humble opinion, I would say the best thing to do at this point is to wait for price to reach that level, and at that level, on the lower time frames, I would look for potential, you know, double tops, right? And then I would wait for price to close below the neckline, head up to the neckline again to give it a test, and at that point where the neckline is where I would look for further sell opportunities, especially if the neckline aligns, as I always say, guys, with any key numbers on the Fibonacci retracement tool. But as things stand at this point in time, I don't see any buying or selling opportunities for that matter. But should price from where it is currently move further down to this level, at this level is where I would look for further buy opportunities. Why? That is because, number one, remember, guys, we have what is this W structure, right? Number two, we have the neckline being broken to the upside. Number three, the neckline is also a very strong level of support at this point in time. And if the neckline aligns with any key numbers that we have in regards to the Fibonacci retracement tool, that would add as for the confluence, and it means that should price from that level come back to this level. At this level, I would look for further reasons for why I should potentially buy. And if indeed I do find a good buy opportunity at this point, my take profit will be around that level. And at that level again, as I said, remember, guys, I would look for those on the lower time frames, double tops or head and shoulders patterns. And then I would look for price to close below the necklines, right? Head up to the neckline again, and then at that point where the necklines are, and especially if the necklines align with Fibonacci, I would then look for those potential sell opportunities. And as I said, guys, my take profit, should I indeed sell at this point, should be around this level. That would be my first take profit, and my second take profit would be around this level. And remember also that this level is the neckline of that huge W structure that we spoke about on the bigger time frames, on the daily chart as well as the weekly chart. And just to go back to the um, weekly chart, right? And let's just zoom in again. Remember, guys, on the monthly chart, right? I know we're on the weekly chart right now, but on the monthly chart, I spoke about how the market may potentially give us this huge pattern where at this point price moves down to around where we have the neckline, and where we have the neckline, price may close sufficiently below the neckline, hit up to the neckline to test it, and if it aligns with Fibonacci, we may then see price move that down to around that level to close and complete that structure.